Welcome back to the eSIM Studios YouTube channel. My name is Taylor Bell. So yesterday I did a video comparison, and today I was like, you know what? I had a lot of fun with that video. And to be honest with you, I'm such a nerd that this is like what I really do in, my off time. I'll think of two phones, I'll compare them in my mind. I'll compare the specs. And I'm like, damn, is this one better? Is that one better? I'll compare the prices. And I'm like, I wonder if there's any available to purchase. What are the prices at? I know. I know. But it got me to thinking, you know what? That would make a fantastic video series for the YouTube channel. I'll just bring it to fruition and bringing it from here on to here. So that's what we are going to be doing. And I encourage you, please help me out with these. I have so many going through my brain that I can't even pick. So I need help. Like today, I put a community post out. Somebody said, hey, can you do a comparison between the OnePlus 12 and the S24 Ultra? And I was like, damn, that's a really good comparison. And I replied, well, sure, I'll have it out later today. So that's what we're doing now. But it doesn't have to be flagship, brand new flagship versus, or current flagship, meaning it doesn't have to be S26 Ultra versus iPhone 17 Pro Max. No, because realistically, this is for fun, obviously, but it's also for you, the viewer. Maybe down the road, at some point, you have an opportunity to buy one or two of these phones, and you're wondering, damn, which one should I get, or which one is better, or I wonder what the pros and cons of getting this one compared to that one is. That's what this is for. So we're going to be doing, like I did possibly yesterday, a brand new phone, the Nothing phone for a Pro versus a 1-year-old phone in the S25 Plus. So we could do current mid-range versus 1-year-old flagship, or we could be doing a 1-year-old flagship versus a 2-year-old flagship. You get the point, right? Well, as I mentioned earlier, today we're going to do the OnePlus 12 versus the S24 Ultra. Let me scoot over here just a little bit so I can get out of the way of my damn graphic. Okay. So we have OnePlus 12 versus S24 Ultra. Both phones, phenomenal. I have a lot of experience with these two devices. I actually owned both of these at the very same time. Ironically, the very same colors as what you see here. So we have the emerald green with the OnePlus 12, and we have the mint green with the S24 Ultra. Now, the S24 Ultra, let me set the scene up here. The S24 Ultra, that's when, at this point in time where it was like in their heyday, meaning like this might be peak flagship for Samsung, when I think they literally put the very best specs in that phone that they had available to them at that time. For an example, UFS 4.1 storage is out right now. Well, Samsung chose to put UFS 4.0 storage in the S26 Ultra, and 10-bit displays are now available. And Samsung chose to put a 8-bit display in the S26 Ultra. Now, back to the S24 Ultra, that had the latest and greatest UFS storage. And we're going to go through the specs, but I'm just giving you an example. And it had the latest and greatest AMOLED display that they could offer. So you can see what I mean by peak Samsung, meaning peak performance. That's their heyday. This might be the quintessential very best Ultra that they have put out. And I know I did not want to get rid of mine. To be 1000% honest with you, I had a horrible experience with the S25 Ultra. So I did not want to give up that S24 Ultra, and I loved that mint green. Fantastic freaking color. Now let's move over to the OnePlus 12. I loved this phone. This was my very first OnePlus, getting back into OnePlus. I took about a year or two break from OnePlus. I had the OnePlus 10T, the OnePlus 10, the OnePlus 10T. That was right before I started this YouTube channel. I took a break on the OnePlus 11. So if you hear me say I've had every single OnePlus phone, it's stretching the truth. Okay, so I skipped out on the OnePlus 11, but it's not like I was missing much. That's when they were trying to get their stuff together. You know what I'm saying? And man, they sure made a comeback with this OnePlus 12. In fact, I think Daniel, our subscriber, convinced me to grab one because I remember talking about it one day and I was like, you know what? He said, it's fantastic. I love it. Cameras are badass. So I said, you know what? Screw it. Went out to Best Buy, got it, and freaking loved it. So this might be a classic matchup. Two heavyweights going at it. And I'm going to give you my personal opinion when we get done at the end. Now, we're going to go over specs. We're going to go over everything. Specs, cameras, price, operating system, and we're going to go over prices. So, both of these phones are still badass today. At this very moment, I could use either one of these and be perfectly fine. I know we get caught up in all the newest, latest tech, and I'll be the first one to admit that, yeah, I easily get caught up and get swept away by all of the spec talk and, oh, it's 30% faster this year and blah, 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 blah. Look, S24 Ultra is a fantastic device as of today, and the OnePlus 12 is as well. We're going to go through pricing. We're going to go through where you can find them online and the, prices that you can expect to pay. So, without further ado, let's get into the specs. So, with these specs, I got them on a nice little graphic here for everybody. OnePlus 12, S24 Ultra. So, both carry the same exact processor. This was a very, very solid processor. This is the processor right before they switched to the Elite branding. So what brings on the Elite branding is, not to get too technical, but their Elite brand CPUs, which the one we're on currently is the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. Their naming scheme is trash. It's maybe some of the worst naming schemes in any industry. Cars, freaking Kleenex, toilet paper, water companies, like water bottles, like Smart Water. Their naming scheme is just, it's horrid. But we're currently on Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. The one before this was the Snapdragon 8 Elite. And then before that was the 8 Gen 3. Now, what brought the Elite naming scheme is a whole new architecture, a whole new structure. So they basically, after the 8 Gen 3, they wiped the slate clean and started a brand new architecture CPU that brought on the Orion cores. But we're not going to get too into depth. Let's get focused, okay? The 8 Gen 3 is a fantastic CPU. I did not have any overheating problems at all. I did with the 8 Elite, but that's another story for another day. I had zero issues with this processor. It's very strong, even as of today. It's very fast. It allows you to do anything and almost everything you want to do on your phone. Mobile gaming, mobile editing, video editing, all sorts of stuff. You be able to breeze through anything. So both of them carry this same CPU. Now, one thing I did not put on here is both carry pretty big vapor chambers. Now, the OnePlus 12 has a bigger vapor chamber than the S24 Ultra. Not a huge concern, in my opinion, for you if you're considering one of these. They both have vapor chambers, but the one on the OnePlus 12 is bigger. So it might make a deciding factor. Look, if you live in South Texas like I do and it's freaking 100 degrees every day and you work outside, you're outside a lot, you might want to consider that. But general use, overall use shouldn't be a problem. Now let's go to storage. So OnePlus 12 has got the base model, 12 gigs of RAM, and I believe 256 gigs of storage. But you go anything higher, then they bump you up to 16 gigabytes of RAM and up to 1 terabyte of storage with UFS 4.0. And with the S24 Ultra, you get 12 gigabytes of RAM and up to 1 terabyte of storage with UFS storage 4.0 as well. Now, I believe, I believe, shame on me, I didn't look this up, but maybe you could correct me. I think the 1 terabyte S24 Ultra gets 16 gigs of RAM. I know they went 12 gigs on all of the models, storage models for a year, and the S24 Ultra might be it. But essentially, if you get an S24 Ultra, 95% of them are going to be 12 gigs of storage. Now, you can do RAM expansion in both of these. I believe the S24 Ultra, you can carry over some of that storage and use it as RAM. I think it goes up to 8. And then in the OnePlus 12, they allow up to 12 gigs of RAM expansion. So, I mean, technically you could have, if you have a 16 gig of RAM, OnePlus 12, and you add 12 gigs of RAM expansion, that gives you 28 gigs of RAM. Holy crap, that's more than 99% of computers. So if you're a heavy gamer, if you do a lot of video editing, if you're a heavy multitasker, not to say the S24 Ultra is not good for that, because it certainly is. But if you know and you dig into your settings and your developer options, if you know you use a lot of RAM, you might want to look towards the OnePlus 12. Now let's get into the display. Both are relatively the same. So OnePlus 12 has a 6.82 inch LTPO AMOLED, 3168 by 1440 resolution, and it goes up to 4500 nits. I had to do a double check on that to make sure it was accurate, and it is. So it gets very, very bright. Now jumping off the S24 Ultra, 6.8 inch as well, dynamic AMOLED, 3120 by 1440 resolution, up to 2600 nits. Now, not to say 2600 nits is shabby by any means, it's still bright. But the 4500 is obviously brighter. However, one thing I did not add on here that I did want to note is I believe this is the very first year of the anti-reflection display on the S24 Ultra, which does help in the bright light. So even though the screen doesn't get as bright as the OnePlus 12, it has the first gen anti-reflection display in there, which helps with outdoor usage. So it kind of equals itself out when compared to other devices, especially the OnePlus 12, which does get brighter. It has a the OnePlus 12, slightly higher dots per square inch, but it's minuscule as far as the difference. They're basically both fantastic displays. And again, going back to Samsung, it's peak Samsung, I think, with their displays, because with the S25, it was pretty good, but they were rolling on a 1-year-old OLED at that point. That S24 Ultra display, very good. A lot of people said when the S25 Ultra came out, do you remember that for a month or two, people were saying, oh, there's something wrong with the display. And then Samsung came out and said, no, we just tweaked the color accuracy. Remember, they made it a little more duller, or I shouldn't say dull, excuse me. Shame on me. They made it more true to life colors. Sorry, Samsung. But I think S24, if you like that vivid, if you like that bright, bold color look, you're going to love the display on the S24 Ultra. And how could I forget the Bluetooth S Pen? But wait, we'll get to that. Let's go to battery. 5,400 milliamp hour battery on the OnePlus 12. 80 watt or 100 watt charging when wired, depending on where you're located at, depending on where you purchase that OnePlus 12. Massive charging speeds, which blows away the S24 Ultra. But not only does it have massive wireless charging, very super fast, it also has 50 watts wireless charging on the OnePlus 12. You don't really see those numbers unless you get a OnePlus, right? I mean, the OnePlus is synonymous with charging, and you're not going to really find that anywhere. And the S24 Ultra does not even compare with a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, which we're still using today, 45 watt wired charging, and 15 watt wireless charging. OnePlus 12 will charge your phone in, I think, 28 minutes, something like that. Maybe the OnePlus 13 was at 23 minutes, but you plug it in, you go brush your teeth, you go do your business on the toilet, you go throw something in the oven, you turn around, your phone is charged. I countless times where I plug it in, I jump in the shower, I get out, boom, it's charged. I'm like, wow, this is freaking cool. And guess what? It lasts all day long. Now, the best battery life I've ever gotten on any phone is the OnePlus 13. I got 12 hours, 38 minutes of screen on time. I'm going to repeat that on one charge. 12 hours, 38 minutes of screen on time on one charge. Now, the OnePlus 12 was not good as that, but it's still awesome. Like, I think the screen on time, no matter what you do, will be better on the OnePlus 12 as far as, I'm talking about battery life now, compared to the S24 Ultra. Not to say the S24 Ultra was bad, but when we talk OnePlus here, look, not many phones compare to OnePlus when it comes to charging and battery life. If you've ever owned a OnePlus, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's one of, look, I have a Red Cable Club right here. Boom. OnePlus is known for their charging and the battery life, and if it's one thing that gets overlooked a lot, it's that. It's charging and it's battery life. It is such, when you use a OnePlus phone and you put your SIM in another phone, or you say you have a OnePlus 13, but you wanted to upgrade and you got the S26 Ultra, you're like, now the S26 Ultra does charge faster, but still doesn't come close to OnePlus. Or you get the S25 Ultra. You're like, damn, why is this thing charged? So it takes a freaking hour. The S24 Ultra takes an hour and 15 minutes to charge. You could charge like 4 OnePlus 12s in that same amount of time. So that is a huge, huge advantage the OnePlus 12 has over the S24 Ultra. Let's get in who wirelessly charges their Samsung. Really? I don't think I've done it for a video, but I don't ever wirelessly charge my phones, or especially Samsung. Plug it in, and I usually do it when you go to sleep. It charges a little slower, but OnePlus, huge advantage. Let's go into operating system. So Oxygen OS, this is what they launched with, not what they have right now. So Oxygen OS 14 came pre-installed in the OnePlus 12. That's Android 14. Now, here's a negative, big negative. We just came off talking about an enormous advantage the OnePlus 12 has. Let's talk about potentially the biggest disadvantage the OnePlus 12 has, and that's only 4 years of software updates. So you get 4 years of Android updates, and you get 5 years of security patches, meaning monthly security patches. And this is right around when OnePlus started listening to consumers and started updating their devices monthly, right? That's one of the reasons why I skipped the 11, because I think on the 10 or the 10T, they would take a 2 or 3 month break on updating their phones. And I'm just like, yeah, we can't afford to do that, right? Like, come on now. All your competition's updating monthly. Why can't you? Well, they finally got back on the track with this OnePlus 12, and that's when they started updating monthly again. So let's see. So for right now, if that's 2 years ago, because we're on Android, what are we on? 16 right now. I know 17 but everybody's on 16 for the most part. So that's 2 updates. So if you potentially did get this OnePlus 12, that means you have another 2 years of software updates. So it should be on 16 at this point. I believe they are. So you'll get Android 17 and then Android 18. And then you'll get 1 more year of security patches. You can go, which means you can hang on it for 3 years. I would still be okay, even if it maxes out at Android, what I say, if it's 14, if you go up to Android 18, right? And then it stops at 18, but they still give you 12 more updates, 12 more months of updates, you're okay. Security patches are more important than software updates. I know that may sound backwards, but that's the truth. Security updates keep you safe, right? Keep your device safe and kicks those bugs out or vulnerabilities, right? Software updates just essentially bring new features and stuff like that. So technically, you can hang on to this OnePlus 12 for 3 more years. Now, let's roll over to the S24 Ultra. That's when I think they bumped it up to 7 years, because I think the S23 series was 6 years. They went up from 5 the next year to 6 and then to 7, and they've been at 7, I think, since the S24 Ultra. So 7 years of software updates, 7 years of security patches. So if they launched theirs, I think they did the same thing. I think they launched theirs on Android 14. So you get 7 years of updates. So you get 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Android 21. So you still have, let's see, what are we on? So you still have, let's see here. So you still have essentially 5 more years of updates. That's insane. So you can essentially use it for 5 more years before you really got to kick it to the curb. I strongly suggest not to use a phone that does not get updates. No, we don't. I don't recommend that. So you got 3 more years with the and I'm talking about security here. 2 more with the OnePlus 12 software updates, 3 more years with security. And then on the S24 Ultra, you got 5 more years of software updates, 5 more years of security. So if you're going to hang on, this all depends on who's buying this phone or what you're going to use it for. If you're going to buy one of these phones and you're going to hang on to it for as long as you can until it bites the dust, you might want to take that into consideration. If you're only going to buy one of these phones and say, I'm going to grab one of these right now because funds are low, and we're going to go over the prices here in a second where you can find them. But if you're saying, I'm going to probably buy one right now, only get a few $100s to spend, probably for a year, I'll hang on to it for a year, maybe 15 months, and then I'll get something else, then your decision's not so hampered on security and updates. But just want to put that out there. Starting price, obviously the OnePlus 12, way under the S24 Ultra, essentially starting at $800, and the S24 Ultra starts at $1,300. So the OnePlus 12, $500 less, and I think it's leading in the spec department. But that's not it. Let's go to cameras. Let's go to El Camero. So with the cameras, S24 Ultra does have a big advantage. It has 4 sensors. OnePlus 12 has 3 sensors. Now, shame on me, and I'll include this on the next one. These are all the cameras on the back side. Somehow I forgot to add the front-facing selfie camera, but I'll just start there. I will let you know, on the OnePlus 12 and the S24 Ultra, I've had both. From my memory, you can essentially do the same thing on either one. It's not like the it's not like the Nothing Phone 4a Pro where you can only do 1080p at 60 frames per second, and if you do 4K, it's only at 30 frames per second. No, not these. These are flagships. You get the full gamut, right? You don't have to worry about, does it do this on the front? Oh, you can't do 4K 60, like on the Nothing Phone. On this, you can do it all. You can do 4K 60, you can do 4K 30, you can do 1080p 60, 1080p 30. You can even do slow motion video from the front-facing selfie camera. Both of these sensors on the S24 Ultra and the OnePlus 12 are top-notch, meaning at that time when they were released, that's basically as good as it gets. Now, let me tell you what specs they have, and then I'll get into my real world experience with these two. So the difference between these is Samsung primarily focuses on high resolution and extreme zoom. Remember, you can zoom into 100x, 120x, and then once you take that photo, and I think video goes up to 40 or 50, 60x, but you can zoom in extra far. And Samsung puts a big emphasis on that, right? While OnePlus partnered with Hasselblad, this is back in the Hasselblad days with OnePlus, for precise color science, for precise color accuracy. And boy, oh boy, you can tell when you got that OnePlus 12. So let's go over the main sensors. The OnePlus 12 has a 50 megapixel for the main shooter, a Sony LYT808, very strong, very solid sensor, while the S24 Ultra main sensor is a 200 megapixel ISOCELL HP2SX. At that point in time, I think that was 3 years old. Now it's like 5, 5 or 6, but I think they're still using that same sensor. But it's good. It's good. Both are really good. I don't even have anything bad to say about any of them. Ultra wide on the OnePlus 12 is a 48 megapixel. Couldn't find what sensor it was. Same thing with the S24 Ultra wide, 12 megapixel ultra wide compared to a 48 megapixel ultra wide on the OnePlus 12. I'm going to get to the specifics here in a second. Now on the OnePlus 12, you also get a 64 megapixel telephoto periscope lens, 3x optical zoom. And then on the S24 Ultra, you have two telephoto sensors. One is a 10 megapixel 3x optical. The other is a 50 megapixel 5x optical with 10x optical quality zoom. So that's how they can zoom in real super far, is with that extra telephoto lens down there. Now that we have the specifics out of the way, I'm going to let you know that, as I mentioned for the S24 Ultra, that might be peak Samsung, just like in a total package. I'm going to let you know, and I'm not sure many people know this. Well, this is just my opinion, and I'm not sure if you've used this phone, this OnePlus 12, but this is peak OnePlus with cameras. With cameras. I was thinking about this earlier today. I specifically remember where I was standing, what I was doing, what time of the day it was. I remember where everybody was sitting. It's weird how memories work, right? I think for whatever reason, I will, I guess, die with this memory in my brain. Knock on wood. I don't lose my memory. But I remember it. This is at the same time. I had the S24 Ultra, and I had just gotten the OnePlus 12. I think I had it for a few days, maybe a week or so. And, not really testing and or comparing the cameras with other phones. I was, out and about snapping photos and stuff. And I remember one night at dinner, I had my S24 Ultra and my OnePlus 12. And I was like, let me take pictures of these two and compare them. I was blown away ever since from that very moment, meaning I took a picture with both phones of the same object. I could not believe my eyes. I was like, there's no way the OnePlus 12 takes better photos than the S24 Ultra, because this was, it was kind of hearsay. It was kind of, you didn't really hear people say that. And that's why I was like, what? Ever since that day, the day after, a week after, a month after, I was taking pictures, comparing. I was blown away. The OnePlus 12 has still to this day, the OnePlus 12, I guarantee freaking to you, the OnePlus 12 takes better photos and videos than the OnePlus 13 and the OnePlus 15. That's right. To this day, I guarantee you, if you had a OnePlus 12 and a OnePlus 15 next to you, and you're taking comparison shots and stuff, the OnePlus 12 will have better photo quality than the OnePlus 15. Now, it's not to say the OnePlus 15 is trash, because we all know it's not, right? But the OnePlus 12 was peak Hasselblad, peak camera performance. It'll blow you away. And the selfie camera is phenomenal as well. So, it's the best camera phone in this comparison, in my opinion. And the S24 Ultra is not a shabby camera phone, right? I mean, to today's phones, it might not be obviously as good as current flagships or the current Samsung flagship, but in that time period when the S24 Ultra was the current flagship for Samsung, it was pretty good camera sensors. It's just the OnePlus 12 took better photos. I don't know what to tell you. And that's my opinion, but it just does. I was blown away. I remember it. My head was like, holy crap, this is insane. Could not believe it. And I was trying to prove myself wrong over the next day, the next week, the next month. And basically 9 out of 10 photo comparisons, it looked better to me. So quality, the detail, the color accuracy is what got me. And maybe that's where Samsung, rolling into the S25 series and the S25 Ultra, maybe that's why they scaled it back a bit. Is because the color accuracy on the OnePlus 12, unmatched, phenomenal. I think that's where the Hasselblad tuning comes into play. because now they don't have Hasselblad, may not be so color accurate. You see what I'm saying? But OnePlus 12 with Hasselblad, man, that's the best camera performance on any OnePlus phone you will find. So you're gonna get a freaking wonderful experience with that OnePlus 12. Now let's get into price, and then I'll give you my personal pick. But let's get into price. So the best place to go look for, if you want to, because every now and then you'll see a phone for sale and you're like, damn, I think that's a good deal. But what's your reference point? What do you have to compare it to, right? What I always do, use the tools that we have available for us. So what I do, like, let's say I'll find a phone on Facebook Marketplace, right? I'm like, damn, that seems a little low, but I don't know. I haven't really seen many phones like that for sale. Let me go check. Best thing to do, or should I say best starting point, is Swappa. Now you can go on their website, you can download their application. Swappa is a phenomenal tool for checking prices, because you could only have one OnePlus phone on Facebook Marketplace in your city, like I had today. Or you could only have one Sony phone here in town. But in eBay is a good place too, but eBay you get parts only phones in the mix. You get buy now or best offer in the mix. You get bids in the mix. So the price, if you just want to scan and look quick and you don't want to do a deep dive, you just want to reference prices, I typically don't use eBay. That's more of an in-depth type thing, or see if I can find one at a good price. If I want to see what the average market retail price is for a used phone, go to Swappa. I'm going to put a link down below in the description box. But let me show you what I pulled up for these two phones, because here's why. Swappa is a marketplace specifically for electronics, and it's typically what the average market price is for, and you can get very specific. You can add tons of filters if you're specifically looking for a mint green S24 Ultra from T-Mobile, and then they give you in 4 different grades of quality of condition. Boom, you can do it there on Swappa. Very easy to use. I don't get any kickbacks or anything from any of the stuff we're talking about today. I'm just passing along, ideas. But let me show you what the OnePlus 12 looks like on Swappa. So right now, I told you the starting prices, right? So the starting price is $800 and $1,300. Now, OnePlus 12, that's the starting price. That's the lowest price possible. So that doesn't really reflect the average retail price of this phone, but that's the lowest. And I'll show you how to take it one step further. If you go to that prices where it says on the very top left, not the very top left where it says OnePlus 12, but look underneath where it says OnePlus 12. It says subscribe on the left and share on the right, but look under that. So look third level. It says prices with a little chart, right? Let me show you what that is. That is a pricing chart and averages. So this is what I look at when I'm trying to not only buy a phone, but what if you're trying to sell a phone? What if you have the OnePlus 12 and you finally want to upgrade to the OnePlus 15, but you're like, damn, I don't really know what to price it at. Well, jump on Swappa. That's what I do. Jump on Swappa. Look at the prices, because you have 256, 512, and 1 terabyte going across the middle. You have recently sold average, you have last sold price, lowest current price, and then your March of last month's averages. So if you want to get to 512, right, because you want to bump up to the 16 gigs of RAM, they only offer 12 gigs of RAM and a 256, which you can still get by with. But who wants that when you can get a 16 gigs of RAM? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And 512 gigs of storage. It's got a phenomenal camera. You're going to want to take a ton of photos with this thing. So at the very least, I think 1 terabyte's kind of overkill. 512 is perfect. So the recently sold average for a 512 gig storage OnePlus 12 is $461. The very last one sold was $437. It's a pretty good price. Lowest current 498. So you can kind of see in those numbers. I usually go by the top one, recently sold average, meaning I don't know what they consider recent. If the last 10 sold and they average it out, is it the last 20, is it the last 5, whatever. So it's what, 461? So let's just round it out to like 460 for the 512 gig. It's a pretty good deal, right? Now, what about the S24 Ultra? Same thing. I pulled that up. Starting price 448. 448. And did I mention S Pen? I think I mentioned it, and then told you I was gonna mention it, and then I forgot to mention it. So yes, the S24 Ultra has a Bluetooth S Pen. Bluetooth S Pen. I said peak Samsung. So I think the S24 Ultra is peak Samsung. So let's see, 448. So essentially, 450 starting price. Let's see, because remember, this thing was mad expensive when it was first released. So let's close that, open this. Boom, look at that. So if you want a comparable phone, comparable storage, recently sold average. Wow, look at that. So a 512 gig, recently sold average 657. Last sold 626. That seems high. Now, I haven't gone out looking for S24 Ultras to buy, but still holding its value relatively well, maybe, last sold 626. Lowest current is 528 for a 512 gig. And then your March average of last month is 657. So lowest current is 448. Let's see. Yep, 448. So that's the 12 gig 256. So here's the thing: you can essentially get a 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gigs of storage for the OnePlus 12. So you can get the upgraded OnePlus 12 storage variant for the base model S24 Ultra for essentially the same price. Because remember, the base price S24 Ultra starts at 448, and then the 16 gig 512 OnePlus 12 was 460. So essentially a $12 difference. And then obviously if you want to bump up your storage on the if you're dead set on the S24 Ultra on the 512 gig, you're going to be shelling out an extra $200. Is it really worth it? In my opinion, it would not be worth it to shell out an extra. Because remember, if you want that extra, remember, Samsung does not bump the RAM up. You're just getting extra storage. So let me give you, what are we going on? About 30 minutes here. It's probably a little bit too long. I'm going to try to keep these at around 30, but let's just say this. On the next one, I'll probably run this a little quicker and then run through some prices online. So where the prices you can find them. You can buy it on Swappa if you want. There's Facebook Marketplace. Be careful. Run IMEIs. I'm going to do another video in regards to that. How to check the IMEI. But be very careful. Verify it before you meet up with them and when you meet up with them. Okay? And in fact, I'll put a link down below where you can check the IMEI, but I'm going to have to give some instructions for that because it's not the easiest. But let's see. Facebook Marketplace, Swappa, OfferUp, Mercari. Mercari's become a ripoff lately. They always throw in all these extra charges. And OfferUp, they stopped shipping. OfferUp is only local now. So I don't know. eBay too. eBay's probably the best one because you get a return. You can get a return policy, unlike Facebook Marketplace, where it seems like you get ripped off or scammed. So eBay's probably your best bet. Swappa. eBay's probably number one. Swappa's probably number two. And locally, OfferUp and Facebook Marketplace. But remember, get on Swappa, get these prices, these averages. down pat. Know what it is, what the average price is for a 256 and a 512, and then go from there. Jump on eBay. Have a number that and you can even message if the guys if you find the exact one that you want, color and everything, but they're asking $100 over. You can DM them, send them a screenshot of Swappa and be like, look, man, I'm just trying to get the average price. Can you come down a little bit? You can barter with them a little bit, right? Test your negotiation skills. But let me get to my overall pick. My overall pick is the OnePlus 12. Now, I know, I said this is peak Samsung. And honestly, you can't go wrong with either one. I'm going to be completely honest with you. You cannot go wrong with either one. As I mentioned at the beginning, I would be fine using either one of these and you would not hear one complaint from me. Not one. In fact, it would probably be the opposite. I'd probably be like, whoa, this S Pen has Bluetooth. How cool is that? The screen's all nice and vibrant. I don't have to worry about my stupid dull privacy shade on here. Like, how dumb is that? S24 Ultra, badass phone. However, everybody's different. Everybody uses their phone differently. For me, I like really good cameras. Couldn't tell if I'm using a daily driver, my Samsung, right? My S26 Ultra. But I think the OnePlus 12 is phenomenal cameras. It gets overlooked. Nobody even talks about that anymore. But OnePlus 12 is a couple years old. Who talks about a OnePlus 12? I do. But I'm taking it for the cameras, and then one other major factor: the battery life and the charging. So the cameras, the battery life, and the charging. I'm telling you, if you have not used a OnePlus phone, you honestly do not know what you're missing. It's like my Wi-Fi 7. If you haven't used Wi-Fi 7, you don't know what you're missing. Charging is insane. It's such an overrated feature of these phones that it's a staple of OnePlus. Long battery life and blazing fast charging. Now, the operating systems, pretty freaking similar. Now, the gap used to be wider back then when these were new, but now these have updated softwares. OnePlus has really, in fact, you could even make a case for leapfrogged One UI in as far as all the features, all the customizations, all the settings. I think OnePlus has Samsung beat on all the custom stuff you can do to your operating system. It's insane. And again, this is why it really, really pains me that they're kind of good, that they're going away. They have everything Samsung has plus more. Now, Motorola's done a good job as well with that, because I haven't used a Motorola phone in years before the Signature. But the Oxygen OS is awesome. In fact, it's right up there. It's probably one or two. And I just say Samsung because I use it as a daily driver. But the features that OnePlus has in Oxygen OS is awesome. Like, it hurts me so bad that they're going to go away. But we'll save that for another video. This is peak OnePlus 12. You know what another good place to get, and I'm sorry, I need to get out of here, but you know another good place to get a phone is Best Buy. Best Buy. That's where I get all my that's where I get all my OnePlus phones. I take that back. I bought the OnePlus 6. No, I got that at Best Buy. I bought the OnePlus 8 and OnePlus 8T from OnePlus website. But let me check the prices real quick. You might be able to find one at a steal. Let's see. Now, and I forgot to mention, while I look at these prices, both of these displays are curved. I forgot to mention that. Sorry. OnePlus 12 has a curved display. S24 Ultra has a curved display. I almost forgot that that's the case, but I was like, damn, the S25 is when they went all flat. So screens are pretty comparable. So OnePlus 12, they don't even sell OnePlus, do they? OnePlus 13, OnePlus 13R, OnePlus 15R. I don't even see them on Best Buy. They must have gotten rid of them. Well, that sucks. Your best bet, Let's go to, hang on one second. Bear with me for just a second, folks. Let's pull this up. Let's remove that. Let's do this. Because you can find S24 Ultras all over the place. And they're pretty consistent. OnePlus 12 is a little harder. Why did I do that? I want to do OnePlus 12 eBay. How much was that? Hold up. $399. Oh, that's $256. Yeah, and they have it in this black color, but the emerald green. Oh my goodness, it's a nice looking phone. Man, I'm kind of talking myself into getting one again. Yo, what happened to my screen? Duh. Okay. Let's see here. There we go. OnePlus 12. Let's go lowest first. 8T. No, I want 12. Let's see here. 198. No way. What's the description? Well, I don't want to be on here surfing, but well, what's the description? It says read more. Well, give me more. The back glass. Damn it. Let's go back here. Okay, so you get the point. Like, you can find a OnePlus 12. I'm sure you can scroll through all this BS here on eBay, and you could find a decent one. Let's go to page 3 because I know they're going to be right around there. Let's see. OnePlus 11R. No. Damn, they got a lot of stuff on here. What the hell? I was going to say, you should be able to find one. Let's go to 5. You should be able to find one around 350 probably. I'm going to try one more page, and if we can, I'm going to get out of here because I've been on for way too long. But let's see here. Still hadn't loaded. Man, I've been bragging about how fast my Wi-Fi is, but eBay sucks. Of course. All right, well, that's a sign. I need to get out of here. Okay. Well, anyways, I'm going to put links down below and be my guest to explore. The OnePlus 12 would be perfect. Both of these phones. For if you want to get a flagship experience, but you don't want to pay flagship price, or possibly what about you're upgrading your kid's phone? Again, the OnePlus 12 is going to be updated for the next 3 years through security patches. So technically it's good for the next 3 years. It'd be good for I know teens, they all want iPhones. So stupid. But look, any situation, whatever your situation is, you cannot go wrong with a OnePlus 12 or an S24 Ultra. You can get one for like, I don't know, $350, $400. I know on Swappa it said what, $450 or $460, but I bet you can find one for around $400. I would rather have, check this out. I would rather have the OnePlus 12 than the Nothing Phone 4a Pro. Now I don't think it gets Wi-Fi 7. I think it still gets 6E, but I mean, it's a phenomenal deal. So thank you for joining me. I really appreciate your time. Please comment down below what phone comparisons you want me to do. Okay? It can be any two phones, even iPhones. Even though I hate iPhones, even iPhones. It could be anything. So put your suggestion down below. Really appreciate the time. I'm going to leave here with this. What would your choice be after we went over all the specs, all the scenarios, all the features? What would you choose? OnePlus 12 or S24 Ultra? Now, I'm trying to run through my mind real quick. What did I forget? The OnePlus 12 does come with a charger in the box. And the S24 Ultra doesn't. In fact, I can't even remember the last Samsung phone that came with a charger. So, yeah, my choice is OnePlus 12. What is yours?